Watch Hope More with host Hope Demps on the Daily Gospel Network, the television show created to inspire, encourage, and motivate. Each week, we will provide a dose of entertainment, social commentary, and spiritual insight. This is your opportunity to gain a better understanding of current and important topics from a refreshing perspective, plus creative art, new foods, travel, event reviews, do-it-yourself projects, awesome guests, and so much more. Catch Hope More with host Hope Demps every week on the Daily Gospel Network. Watch Hope More with host Hope Demps on the Daily Gospel Network, the television show created to inspire, encourage, and motivate. Each week, we will provide a dose of entertainment, social commentary, and spiritual insight. This is your opportunity to gain a better understanding of current and important topics from a refreshing perspective, plus creative art, new foods, travel, event reviews, do-it-yourself projects, awesome guests, and so much more. Catch Hope More with host Hope Demps every week on the Daily Gospel Network. Watch Hope More with host Hope Demps on the Daily Gospel Network, the television show created to inspire, encourage, and motivate. Each week, we will provide a dose of entertainment, social commentary, and spiritual insight. This is your opportunity to gain a better understanding of current and important topics from a refreshing perspective, plus creative art, new foods, travel, event reviews, do-it-yourself projects, awesome guests, and so much more. Catch Hope More with host Hope Demps every week on the Daily Gospel Network.
Hello, my Facebook family. I'm so excited that you've joined me today on Hope More, where this month we've been talking about being positioned. We talked about being positioned for purpose. Last week, we talked about being positioned for partnership, and the partnership we was discussing is marriage. And today we're talking about position for passport. The one thing I love about Hope More is that everything doesn't have to be deep and heavy. Sometimes we can have a little bit of fun. And today's subject about being positioned for passport is just one of those moments for just a little bit of fun, but you can also find it attached to a golden opportunity. So let me ask, as I do every week, that if you are a first-time watcher, please subscribe or like my Facebook page as well as my YouTube channel. So I'm going to ask you to share the love by going to your Facebook page, hitting like at the top, and then like and comment as we go through. Even if you're not watching live, but you're watching on replay, I'm going to ask you to support us in that way. And if you even are watching it on replay, give questions, give comments, let me know where you're coming from. Or you can go to Hope More YouTube channel. I would ask that you subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we coming on. Now listen, Hope More is spelled lowercase HOPE, uppercase MORE, all together, one word. And that's because it only takes a little bit of hope to expect more in life. When people give up hope, they give up pretty much everything, because hope is not even as great as faith. Hope is just a confident expectation that things are going to get better, whereas faith is an unmovable belief that it will. So sometimes you're just like, okay, I'm gonna put my hope in this moment, and you can get more out of life. So as we go throughout the years and the weeks and the months to come, just keep just a little bit of hope, and I tell you, you can make another step and another step and another step. So today we are talking about one of my, well, it's not my favorite topics, but it gives me a gateway access to one of my favorite things to do, which is travel. Position for passport. Now, some people, this is like, basic 101. They're like, I don't need to be positioned. I already have my passport. I'm already very, well understand it or learn it of the passport process. But I just wanted to encourage more people to get your passport. Here in the United States, only 48% of Americans have their passport. Thankfully, that's gone up over the last few years, but that is really, really small. For instance, in the state of Mississippi, less than 20% of the people have their passport. In Alabama, it's more like 28% of people have their passport. Here in Florida, and it's mostly because of our southern Florida residents, about 50 to 60% of people have their passport. So if you're in Florida, you may be doing well. But this came and was encouraged out of a situation where I was just talking to some people and they did not have a passport. And I'm like, they want to travel out of town, they want to go to other places, but they don't even have their passport. And I was like, well, how are you like moving forward in that desire to like go international and you don't even have the basic access, which normally starts with a passport? And I want to tell you, some people think that is cumbersome. Some people think, oh, I'll just wait till the opportunity. But what if you're in your job or you have a friend who's like, listen, I got some free hotel rooms up in, I don't know, in South America somewhere, and you need to get a passport right away. If you've never gotten your first passport, just forget it. You're going to miss that opportunity. So as we talk about being positioned for passport, sort of tongue in cheek, I really wanted you to be ready and willing to join in a discussion about the importance of travel and being ready to travel. So I couldn't think of any better guest to have today than I think one of the coolest travel experts out there. His name is Junior Anderson, and I just got him off the road because he's forever working. Let's welcome him with a big Hope More welcome, Junior Anderson. I'm going to trust that. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being on our show today, talking about travel and being positioned for passport. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Just a busy day. I just got back from a cruise on Saturday, and we were in Miami at the Jazz in the Garden Festival with Erica Badu and Jill Scott and Chandler Moore and Kiera Sheard, and it was great. So then I got back to Atlanta at three this morning. And as you know, I'm Jamaican. So I went to my real job, which is my other business, which is medical transportation. And I was on my way home, and we had a client that needed to get picked up. And I said, "Hope, I need a couple more minutes for. I'm not going to go to the office. I'm just going to come home and talk to you." And lo and behold, I'm here.
Well, you know what? I know that you love me. That's what I got from this.
Oh,
Through your press, you said yes. And I think you have an event this evening too. So I'm just so glad that you're able to come and spend a few minutes. We won't even take up all your time.
No, it's fine. Actually, the event, it worked out. I just came back from the Jamaica wedding event. It was an event for travel agents to talk to folks, for them to talk to us about weddings, and they gave me all these gifts, like these cool beach bags and Jamaica. Some Jamaica was there, and Mexico and Dominican Republic. So I got a chance to network with some cool wedding folks. So.
Oh man, I tell you, I love it. The fact that you said your real job. For those of you who may not have caught this, different things, but he also has his own transportation business that does do like is it's not just regular transportation, even though you probably
Non-emergency, but it's medical transportation.
medical transportation,
Mhm.
yes. And actually, I know that your business has done very well. You won even prizes regarding your business planning. So, you know what? I think Mr. Anderson is the perfect person, or should I call you Junior, to have in this discussion about being positioned for passports. As you just heard, he just came back from an expo dealing with travel for honeymoons and things of that nature. And so you know what? We just started, so you didn't miss anything. But I was just sharing how people in the United States, yeah, I got my passport too. They often don't think about needing a passport until they have an opportunity to go on a trip. But then I was thinking about how ridiculous it is to wait for that because you never know what opportunities could come up and then you're sort of stuck. And if people are like, oh, I want to go to Paris one day and I want to go to Dubai and all these things, and I'm like, and they're
You're not
worried about
going anywhere without one of these.
I'm like, go ahead and put some money into getting a passport so that when the opportunity comes, you are ready to go. And so I just wanted to talk to you because he has easy for you to travel business, and I would highly recommend you reach out to him. But as I'm talking about this position for passport, I just wanted to know for you, you're Jamaican, you grew up in New York. Have you always had the bug to travel like internationally? Because you always seem like you're somewhere fabulous, you and your lovely wife. But did you
Yes.
always have a desire to like go different places?
Well, because I grew up in New York, I guess I was blessed. I thought it was punishment, but every summer I was sent off to Jamaica to stay with my grandmother or my grand uncle or some relative for the summer because my parents was like, growing up in Brooklyn and the Bronx, they were like, you're getting out of here during the summer because a lot of stuff goes on during the summer when you're out of school. I would come back and somebody either got shot or growing up in New York was a little rough at times, and not to say to stereotype it and say that summertime was full of violence, but the neighborhoods I grew up in, my parents just made sure that I wasn't home during the summer. So I got used to traveling back and forth to Jamaica every year, every summer. So I was a latchkey kid growing up too. So they didn't have a problem with putting me on a flight or me being not to say left alone to myself for a few hours until my grandmother came home from work and stuff. So I'm just used to, I'm used to travel. I'm very used to travel. And now that I'm, in my adult stage, I really appreciate what my parents did for me because I go home every year now for my birthday, which is June 2nd. You came with us one year for
Yes.
my
I'm gonna
annual
have to
trip.
join up another
Oh
time
yeah.
because y'all know how to go to Jamaica, I tell you.
Link up, link up, link up, link up. I actually made a tune about it. You'll hear it soon. Link up. Coming around soon. Happens around the first week in June, right? Which is my birthday, June 2nd. And I get a chance to take people back and forth, back to Jamaica, and they get a chance like you did to celebrate my heritage. And we go to Blue Hole, we hang out on the beach, we eat jerk chicken on rice on peas on mangoes and the music. So I'm excited. Always been excited about travel, but even more so now, so I can share it with others.
I love it. And this whole short show is trying to encourage people to go ahead and get their passport. I find that particularly African Americans, the bug is biting because I'm seeing more and more Black families, their entire family travel. But sometimes we think of international travel as out of our reach. It's so expensive. And yeah, it may not be the cheapest thing, but the money we spend on our hair, on a purse, on our shoes, we
Hope, let me
sometimes can
stop
like,
you. International travel is cheaper than domestic travel right now.
oh,
You
wow,
you can
really?
go to Paris. You can go to Paris round trip, airfare, hotel, and everything per person for under $1,600 a person. For you to go to Miami for a weekend, a nice hotel is $400 or $500 a night. So, if you spend 3 nights in Miami, just hotel in a nice 5-star hotel like the Fountain Blue or the Eden Rock, just Miami, New York, let's be real, it's 400. You could stay at a $200 a night hotel, but that's a hotel. That's not a vacation. It's closer to a motel, but it's affordable, and the world is so accessible now. From Atlanta, New York, Miami, direct flights to places like Paris, direct flights to places like Jamaica, Cancun, Cabo, direct flights to Dominican Republic. Yes, flight prices are elevated right now, but things are starting to settle down. But it's affordable to travel, and a passport is only $125. Right?
Yes. It's only, come on now. And sorry. And I also have one of those passport, no, not passport. What are they called? These ID cards?
Passport cards, yes.
Yes. Now, okay, for those of you who like me from a few years ago when I first found out about this, I was like, what is this? And what and how does it benefit anyone to have a passport card?
If you're driving across the Mexican or Canadian border, instead of carrying your passport, you can carry your passport card. You can't travel internationally with just your passport card, but when you're out and about on your trip, instead of keeping your passport with you and risking losing your passport, it's better to carry your passport card with you in case you need identification or something happens where they'll ask you for documentation that you are a visitor. So a passport card is just another great way to have some type of proof that you are a U.S. citizen. And then some people, if you lost your passport and you get to the embassy, you could use your passport card to then get home. You still have to go to the embassy, but you have some type of documentation to prove that I am a U.S. citizen.
Okay, so then passport cards are good to use too. And I think if you buy both of them at the same time, it's like 160 or something like that.
It's like
But you
160,
might
but
as well
again,
have it.
your passport is most important. Use your passport card if you're driving back and forth across the Mexican border. Some people do that. Some people will go across the Mexican border if they live in Texas or California, for a quick weekend, and then you only need your passport card. Or if you're a driver, like a truck driver, passport cards would come in handy. Or if you want to go to Niagara Falls, or if you're in Detroit and you want to go across under the water over to Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now I better understand that. The first time I ever went international was outside of Mexico or Canada. I went to England for a summer for like study abroad. And they were like, you need to carry like a colored copy of your passport and your IDs, because if something happens, you could use that. So if you don't have a passport card, is that still a good rule of thumb, having like a copy somewhere on your person or in your luggage, so in case something happens,
so when you do travel internationally, they'll give you a tourist card that you sign and you keep with you. You should either have your driver's license, some sort of picture ID, when you're out and about. If you have a copy or a picture of your passport, that's a great idea as well. Just in case, also, it's good to keep a picture copy in case for some reason you lost your passport, or maybe there was theft. Maybe your passport got stolen and you need to get back home. You need those things make it a lot easier when you go to the consulate or the U.S. embassy if you need to get home. So yes, it's a great idea to keep a copy of your passport. A colored copy is actually a very, very good idea to keep on your person, because sometimes a little bit too much tequila, and next thing you know, you left your passport somewhere. So I know a gentleman who was in Jamaica, lost his passport. He left it in the bag on the bus, and he couldn't get home for almost 3 weeks. It took 3 weeks for him to finally come back home. Yeah, you're not going to.
He was an American citizen.
He's an American citizen, yes. So you're not going to travel. Yeah, you're not going to travel back home without a passport or without some type of approval from the embassy. Then you're not. If you lose that document, this is a very important document. I would eventually think they're going to go full electronic on passport, because already not only do I have my passport, I have my global entry card. So
yes,
when I come back into the United States, instead of me having to stand in line, the facial recognition machine, I go over to it and boom, boom, boom. 5 minutes and I'm through.
Okay, well, as you can tell, this man is not just a client. I mean, he's not just an owner, he's a client. So for those of you who are like, well, what do you mean global entry? Let's talk a little bit about that. And I do want to circle back around with just some practical things to do with your passport when you're traveling. But global entry is something that would allow you ease and access through customs, right?
Correct. Coming back into the United States.
And you have to go to an airport to get that, right? Or you have
Yeah.
to,
You
the
have to do
interviews
your
are done in
interview.
an airport?
You have to do your interview at the airport, yes.
And can you do it like, okay, I just came back from
You can schedule. You can
Guyana.
schedule.
When I went to the airport, can I schedule it on my return, or do you have to have it done before you get back?
No, you can schedule it on your return. You know, if they have an open appointment, they definitely will allow you to schedule on your return. That's what me and my wife did when we got our global entry. And I'll give you a little secret for your folks. If you don't have an American Express card, one of the benefits when you get an American Express card, and in Atlanta, we really like that Delta American Express card because Delta is our homegrown airline. But you get a credit of $150 towards getting your global entry. Yes. So they basically, that fee that you pay to have an American Express card, you get global entry, you get a year clear of clear for free. You get all type of benefits when you get an Amex card. But yes, I literally didn't pay for my global entry card. I got a credit that went towards my global entry card for $150.
Okay. Now, I recently, or in the last year, got a Delta Amex card. I didn't know that, so I'm going to have to look. I haven't gotten global entry or TSA clearance yet, because one of the things that I have done, and most of you guys have heard of TSA clearance because even nationally, just flying around, it gets you through the line really quickly. Global entry does similar, but it's for international travel.
Yeah, and when you get global entry, you automatically get TSA pre-check. It comes with it.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. But they don't tell you that because they want you to pay for it. So if you get global entry, okay, guys, this is good. Get your passport, get global entry, even if you yet to have a place to go internationally so you can zip in and zip out. Recently, when I came back from Guyana, one of my guy friends who travels a lot, he was like, you can get some app.
Passport, yeah, the passport app.
Is it the passport app where you just walk through?
Well, the passport app now, they do charge you for, they are charging for some of their services, but if you get the passport app, it's a little bit cumbersome because you do have to put in your information once you land. And there's a line at some airports like JFK, our airport here in Atlanta, Hartsfield, where they have a line for the passport app for entry.
But I'm almost wondering if it's a passport app or is it a customs app? Because it seemed like it took the place of having to report everything you did. But maybe it is called. I was trying to find it.
It's also called Airside Mobile.
Yes. Okay.
So they changed the name. It used to be, I don't know if you
Airside Mobile.
Let me see. Can I get you to see it? It's hard to see.
I can't see it, but yes, I remember mobile was in the name. And actually, I flew into JFK and we were able to go right through really fast. So
can you see it now?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. It doesn't look like I remember, but I only used it once. And my phone has so many apps in it, they don't even all appear on the face. But those things are so
it's a cool little cheat code, but you still need to let's get down to business. I would say this, Hope, you can travel on a cruise with your birth certificate, right? So you don't need a passport. And I tell folks this all the time. Don't be discouraged because you don't have a passport. There are ways for you to travel internationally. If you're on what's called a closed-end cruise, meaning you're leaving from Miami and coming back to Miami, or leaving from Orlando, coming back to Orlando, you don't need a passport to hop on a cruise. A few cruise lines like Virgin Voyages, which I just got off, they do want you to have a passport, but Carnival, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, the popular cruise lines, a passport is not required. However, it's better for you to just go ahead and apply for your passport now. If you don't have your passport yet, guess what? A travel consultant like myself could help someone still take a great trip. We just went to Honduras. We went to Bimini Islands, and we went to Costa Maya, Mexico on a cruise. And you could do the same without a passport. You can do it with a birth certificate. But while you're doing that, you should apply for your passport so you can take those fun international, culturally rich trips like you did to Guyana, which is on my bucket list as well. Food over there is great, I hear.
You know what? It really, the food is really good. And then I think I saw a picture of you and your wife in the desert. I was assuming it was Dubai,
Dubai,
or
yes.
some great, oh, she looked so beautiful in her dress. And I was like, I want to do that.
Yes.
And so to have that opportunity, I did not know that it's called closed-in cruises. As long as it begins and ends in your country, you can go. But can you get off the boat
yes, you can get off the boat. You can get
Oh.
off the boat. It's no problem with you getting off the boat and getting back on. But again, another great reason why it is good for you to have a passport card. I had a client who fell ill while they were in Mexico one time, and they had to fly home. Right now, if they didn't have a passport, they wouldn't be able to fly home. They would have to pretty much just kind of rough it out while they were on a cruise until they got home if they didn't have a passport, or deal with the U.S. consulate in Mexico, which could be a mess. But they had a passport, so it's easy for them to get a flight and get home.
So don't be discouraged if you don't have one and have a closed-in cruise opportunity, but go ahead and get one, because you don't ever know what could happen. I love that. And I know that there are a number of cruises like in the Mediterranean and things. So typically probably the closed-in cruises are going to the Caribbean.
Yes.
Or
South America. You have to be leaving from a U.S. province. So what some folks do, you can travel to Puerto Rico and Hawaii with your driver's license, right?
Right. Because that's still the United States territory.
But as long as you have your driver's license and a birth certificate, you can either cruise from Miami, or you can fly to Hawaii or fly to Puerto Rico and cruise from there. There's a lot of great cruises from Puerto Rico because you're already in the Caribbean. So when you cruise from Puerto Rico, you get to go even further south in the Caribbean, like St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Barbados. So that's a popular cruise for folks that don't have a passport, who really want a dose of some international destinations. So, and you want to hurry because you never know. I remember at one time the Trump administration was thinking about changing that, because remember when the Obama administration came in, we were back going to Cuba to see our brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Yes. But they took, you can still go to Cuba. It's just not as easy as it was under the Obama.
So you have to fly to another country, right?
Yes, but if you can fly to another country, but again, you have to have your passport. And like myself, I actually have dual citizenship. I have citizenship. So I have a Jamaican passport. So I could fly to Jamaica and use my Jamaican passport to go to Cuba.
Okay. Could you explain to people the difference between a passport and a visa? Because sometimes people think of it or say the words together, and some people are like, oh, I don't even understand the passport thing.
Well, you have to have a passport and a visa, regardless if you're doing international travel. But some countries like the United States, you have to apply for a visa. If you're coming from a country like Jamaica or Mexico, you have to apply for a visa, which gives you the right to come into the country and stay for a certain period of time. Sometimes people will get a work visa. So instead of it just being 30 days, their visa might be 6 months, or their visa might be 2 years. So there's different types of visas, but sometimes when we travel to other countries like Russia or certain places in Europe, you are required to get a visa. For us, it's a little simpler because it's a simple form a lot of times that we fill out. For others, it's actually an interview. They have to be vetted, before they're allowed to actually travel into the U.S. So say, for instance, my folks in Jamaica, they want to meet me in Mexico, but their flight connects in the United States. Guess what? They can't even touch American soil without a visa. They'll have to get a direct flight somehow from Jamaica to Mexico in order for us to meet up, unless they get their visa. Unfortunately, the wait time for a visa for appointment is past 1 year right now. It's longer than 1 year. Yes. So the process is um it's discouraging to a lot of folks, but again, you got to stay encouraged, and what God has for us is for us. So I know a lot of folks who have waited and finally got that call. Some of them got the call earlier than they expected, and they were able to get their visa to come in the United States to visit their family.
Yeah, and it's, we know that certain countries so much harder and longer to wait for that visa.
Yeah.
So, and also, isn't it that the visa process is one in which the country has to accept you versus the passport, which is your country. The receiving country doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the country you're leaving from. So
Right.
if you can think of it like that, but for Americans leaving out, when they go, say, to Dubai or many countries in Africa, they're going to need to request a visa. And I'm learning more and more that they're like the rules, and then there's the rules. Because
Yeah.
I had a
Well, if
friend
you're going
going,
to Dubai, it's a simple form, and you could actually do it on your phone for American citizens. So
really?
as an American citizen, some people will complain about, how hard it is here in America. But let me tell you, globally, our passports, sometimes it trumps a lot of other passports. But there are some passports that don't need visas for certain places where American citizens will need a visa. But for the most part, Americans, we're able to go to Europe, we're able to go to Africa, we're able to go to Indonesia, like Bali and Thailand, with very little issue. Now if we're going to China, if you're going to one of the more less, I guess you would say, less friendly, American friendly states or countries, yes, a visa will probably be required for you to enter China and Russia and parts of Korea.
I was just surprised because I was invited to go to a wedding in Nigeria, like within like a month. And I was like, I'm not going to have time to get the visa. They're like, just fly. You can get it at the airport
Yep, yep,
when
yep,
you get
yep,
there.
you
I'm
can.
like,
Yep,
are you
yep.
sure? Because that's not what I'm seeing on the website. They're like, no, you're with us. We're going to be fine. So, like he said, it is really privileged. Any Americans very privileged when it comes to travel for the most part. I wanted to ask you, and this, may sound silly, but I am that corny girl. I travel with a little holder, and I keep my visa on me at all times. When I'm in, even when I'm in Jamaica and the hotel room has a little safe, I saw this little expose saying that's like really a false sense of security. So I carry it with me all the time around my neck. What's your go-to move? And I know, again, you got two passports, but do you often, like, where do you keep and stash your passport when you're
I'll
traveling
be
international?
honest, when it comes to passport, I leave my passport in my safe because stealing your passport, no one can do anything with your passport. Now, especially nowadays, documentation on passports, are very, very difficult to even duplicate, but no one's trying to steal your passport. It is a false sense of security in some places because they can still find a way into your safe. It could be a hotel employee, but resorts and hotels have gotten much better in making sure that their clients are feeling safe. So my go-to a lot of times, you don't want to tell everybody your secret, but I find something, a piece of clothing that I would keep in my suitcase or my bag or in the closet, and I put my stuff in that pocket because it's going to take them longer to find something like that. The first place they're going to go most likely is one of your nightstand drawers or by your safe. So, my go-to is a piece of clothing, a sock, or something like that that's inside of my suitcase. You can even buy a little lock for your suitcase to lock your suitcase. So those are ways to hide things. So and again, we're being smart. There's thieves everywhere. There's not just thieves abroad. There's thieves right here at home. You did strike up something I wanted to just kind of chime in on. Single black females are the fastest growing sect of travel, and they're traveling
I
by
believe it.
themselves now. Well, they're traveling by themselves now because the world is safer. But we hear things on the news about like recently with Mexico. Some folks went over to Mexico, but guess what? They weren't tourists. They weren't in tourist areas, right? And 9 times out of 10, they're protecting tourists because tourism is big for other countries. So I feel safer in Mexico than I do in downtown Atlanta. I'm not afraid to say that. I love my country, but Mexico, Jamaica, where there's a tourist area, there's soldiers, there's police, you're safe. As far as your belongings and things like that, normally when you're on hotel property, the only people who are allowed on hotel property are guests and employees, and there's cameras everywhere. So if something is missing out of your room, just notify someone that at the front desk. You'll find your stuff. If that
Man,
was to
I love traveling by myself, and I don't know if you remember, but the year I went to your birthday celebration, Jamaica, that year I ended up having like a cardiac arrest situation, and I called you to like book another trip. So that year I went to Jamaica twice, but the
nice,
second time I went by myself, and I think I went to Breathless Resort,
breathless,
a part of
and
the
you had a
secret.
ball.
When I tell you, I was like,
That's when you have the
oh,
most fun because you don't have that friend to say, I don't want to do that or I want to do this. I'm ready to go. You're by so single females are also meeting other single travelers. Breathless even has a event for folks that are traveling single to meet one
yeah,
another, not to hook up, unless you want to hook up, but
right.
not to hook
There
up.
were some
It's really
cuties
just to meet
there.
other. Yeah, it's really to meet other travelers. So traveling on your own is for now, brothers. We got to get it together because our sisters, they got their passports and they saying bye bye. They're like, catch you when I come back. They're going, and girls' trips are very much more popular than guys' trips are.
That
Guys are
is true.
starting to catch on a little bit, but girls' trips have been going on for a long time. So, shout out to my sisters. Single black females are the fastest growing section of travel.
I believe
Yes, it's
it.
affordable, but guess what? Y'all are spending your coins instead of spending $1,500, $2,000 on a bag. Spend
Right.
that $2,000 on a 5-day beautiful trip that you'll never forget. That might change your life.
I agree because particularly single women, that the idea of like waiting for some special romantic trip by your man or hopefully partner in the future. What if they never come? So you just ain't never
Stella,
gonna travel?
Stella, he might be
Like,
out there. He might be there, Stella.
I know, right? He may be standing by the pool too. Hopefully as a guest and not a worker. But no, I mean, I think that's so great because there's all these huge you see it so much, or at least I find maybe my Spelman sisters, I feel like everyone's traveling, everyone's going everywhere. And I mean, absolutely love it. Here's the challenge though, right? And well, maybe you would disagree, but I do like off the beaten path type of travel. So I find with that, I typically need to at least go with another person. So
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
going to
certain
a
travel.
resort, or like say when I went to Breathless, that was the same weekend as Independence celebration. I think it was the 50th Independence
Yeah,
celebration of Jamaica, and I
turn
wanted
up.
to go to town center.
Yeah, man.
But I couldn't find any other guests there that had met up that was doing that. But I had plenty of workers who were like, I'll take you. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to end up missing
But
somewhere.
that's where I come in, or at the hotel can come in with concierge. There are approved travel tour guides. Doesn't cost you much for you to go out. Like St. Lucia has a street party every Friday, and they encourage folks to go to the street party whether you're with someone or without. You'll feel safe, but they also have groups that they put together where you can go out. I want to touch on something real quick. My wife, I was working for the Hyatt when my wife met me. I was a bellman, right? I had a back of the house job, and I've been married now. This is our 24-year of matrimony, right? Bobby Brown's niece, she met my cousin in Jamaica. He was a tour guide. He was working on a boat, a snorkel boat, and they've been married over 20 years as well. So I'm just telling you, don't miss out on your Prince Charming just because he's not the executive of the hotel, because he might not be the executive then, but hey, guess what? My wife married me as a bellman, and now Me and my
The
wife, we own
CEO,
three
y'all
businesses.
balling out.
Yeah.
Control.
So I wanted to make sure I catch you. Don't miss out, ladies. Don't miss
Well,
out on
you
your
know
first
what?
one.
You know what? Thank you for mentioning that. That is very true. I wasn't necessarily thinking of the job position as much as being international in the Caribbean, because we do know there's a lot of sexcations that are happening. And so it's like, don't come up sniffing to me. I'm not trying to bring you to the US. But you're right. Just in general, you could be missing your blessing. That's a good point. I
Mm-hmm.
was just saying for me, and maybe that's not
No,
for
no,
all
no.
of y'all.
I know
Y'all
that
more
it's
saved than
balanced.
I
It's
am.
balanced. It's balanced.
I've gotten in trouble trying to like go out with people while I'm internationally traveling by myself. So I'm more likely to do that if I have another girlfriend with me. So we like, I see you. But that's a very good point. You never know. And you and your wife are such a wonderful example of what's possible. So yeah, don't overlook the bellhop. So I wasn't talking about position as much as the need for potential international access to the US. Because I laugh, it's not everybody, of course,
No, but
but
it is.
going to
Listen,
Jamaica and seeing all those older sisters of another persuasion with these young little Jamaican boys, and it may just be that the young Jamaican boys are really attracted to these older women, and all I can think of is like,
no, so that's why I said it's balanced. But you're right, Hope. I was just telling you my story. It was a little plug for me that I was one of the fortunate folks, because my wife had a high level job at the same building that my hotel was in, and I didn't think that she would have any interest in someone like myself. But that's to show you that, we have to see she saw the king in me, right? So that's a whole nother
but
broadcast.
you got that game. You're from New York and you're Jamaican, so I'm
Mm,
sure you came
yeah,
correct.
man,
But
yeah.
that's a
Mhm.
really good point. So I take back what I said. You never know. Maybe
Right.
I'll be missing out on my blessing. I need to go back to Breathless. But I love it. Thank you so much for coming on my show. And and I didn't get a chance to share, but do you have any contact information you want to tell my audience so they know how to get in touch with you if they're
Sure.
interested in, not if, when they're interested in planning their next international trip?
Sure. Junior Anderson, but in the professional realm, they know me as JR. JR, but you can call me Junior. It's not a problem. I don't have so Junior is actually my real name. It's not, I'm not named after my father. In Jamaica, they use Junior, just like in the Samoan Islands, they use Junior as a real name. So it just so happens my real name is Junior Anderson. You can find me on Instagram at Easy for You to Travel. You can find me on Facebook at Easy for You to Travel. My email is easyforyoutotravel@gmail. And it's simple. It's EZ number 4, letter U number 2. So E, letter Z, number 4, letter U, number 2, travel. Right? Easy for you to travel.
So
One
it
thing
makes
I
it
want to
very
make sure they
easy for
know
you.
too. Well,
Go
one thing
ahead.
I want you to know, if your passport expires in less than 6 months, be careful. Always pay attention to your passport travel expiration date, because sometimes countries won't allow you to travel if your passport expires in less than 6 months. A lot of people don't know that. Sometimes the country's okay with it, but the airline itself will not let you travel if your passport is coming up for expiration. So it's good to renew your passport a year ahead of time, right? So
A
pay
year ahead of
attention.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your expiration date?
I think mine is 29.
Right. It's good to
Yep.
have it in your head.
August 18th, 2029.
Yeah, mine is March of 29. So that means by 2028, March of 2028, right around then, right before my birthday or around my birthday, you should start renewing your passport. Now, passport renewal only takes 6 to 8 weeks, but during COVID, it was
Took
taking
forever.
folks 20 to 30 weeks to get a passport, almost a year. But things are back up and running. A new passport should take you about 4 to 6 weeks to get. But it's a good idea. Just like you said before, I just wanted to leave folks with a little bit of information. If you're booking a trip and you don't have your passport, you should insure your trip or get trip protection in case you need to cancel your
Yes.
trip because your passport process was delayed. It could be, child support. If you owe more than $50,000 in taxes, Sometimes the IRS and the Department of Treasury can put a block on you getting or renewing your passport or even using your passport. So there are a couple of things that could hold you back from getting passports, or the wrong documentation. You can't find your birth certificate, and then you have to go to Vital Records to get a birth certificate. But again, you have my information. If anybody has any questions about, I'm here to consult, not just to book your trips, but I'm also a travel coach. I help people learn how to travel on their own, how to book on their own.
Really? Now,
Yeah,
see,
because
that's something I didn't even know. I guess
yeah.
because I felt like I got like a personal travel coach because I got
I
to
want
hang out
to
with you
be
and
a
your
travel
family.
agent. Yeah, I'd rather be a travel agent or travel consultant. However, people are booking on their own nowadays with the internet. But sometimes people don't know, how to choose a destination, or how to choose the destination within the destination, or the hotel within the destination. So I travel coach. I charge a small fee, right? But once you're up and running, you kind of understand certain things internationally. There's nothing wrong with a client finding a good deal online and knowing that they're getting a good deal online and purchasing on their own. That's the direction we're in. 60% of people book travel on their own. Travel agents and travel consultants are back on the rise because people do have a lot of questions, and they feel more comfortable using a travel professional. I'm a zero fee agency. A lot of people don't know that, meaning if you book with me or book on your own, it's really the same price, because the hotel, they compensate me. Airlines, unfortunately, don't really compensate travel agents and travel experts, but the hotel compensates me for bringing them their business. And I'll make sure that you're staying at a hotel that you'll really like. It might be something that you're looking for. That's where I come in to help.
I love that. I did not even realize that you were a travel coach, but that is so true. When people are wanting more and more information, I know, like when I went to Guyana, I did not appreciate, and I don't care that she hears this or watches this, I didn't appreciate that the travel agent that the mission group booked did not tell anyone until like 2 weeks before the travel about the 6 months that you needed. If you were expiring 6 months, you had to change. And I had a friend, thank God he lived in Maryland. He literally had 2 days before we were leaving, like his appointment was 2 days before we were leaving to get his passport renewed. So
Yeah.
he drove to DC.
Yeah.
Everybody can't do that. And
No.
speaking of everybody, a lot of people are like, well, where do you get passports? You can go to travel.state.gov, content travel, and most of the time post offices and clerks of courts will either do that or can tell you where it's done. Sometimes if you're in a big university town, there's a place on campus to do it, but you have to apply. When you apply for the first time, you have to apply in person. And so as Junior JR has pointed out, that depending on what's happening, the earlier you get your passport, the better. That's why I say go ahead and get it. Even if you're like, I ain't even got $500 to book a trip of any type, but go ahead and get your passport. Just start little by little. I know I have a little globe, when I was little, probably from the time I was in 8th grade, I always had a globe of some sort because I wanted to remind myself that the world was was available. So go ahead and start just dreaming, guys, because you deal with a travel coach like JR, then, talk to Easy for Travel. Maybe this is the perfect opportunity for you to figure out where you want to go, what your budget could be, and how it can be accommodated potentially.
Have me on again, Hope. Have me on again soon as you want, and we'll talk, because that $7 a day cup of coffee from Starbucks that you're having, that's 5 days a week. That's $1,800 a year. $1,800 is enough to take you to Dubai. It's enough to take you to France. It's enough to take you to Jamaica. It's enough to actually do 2 cruises if you wanted to. So $7 a day times 5 days a week. We're gonna say Saturday and Sunday you make coffee at home. That's $35. 35 times 52 weeks. That's $1,820. So trust me, we're out here jerking money and jerking away our trips. So
oh man, I gotta have you on just to deal with like financing a trip. I know you're probably also very good at, like you were saying, telling people where to go inside of a trip.
Mhm.
I think what I'm doing is fine, but like I'm going to Ghana, Africa in October with a
Mhm.
conference. And a
Mhm.
part of me wished, I didn't know you coached. A part of me wished that I knew enough about the surroundings for me to go to the conference, but not use their accommodations, even though their accommodations are supposed to be 5-star, really luxurious. When
Mhm.
I told my friend how much I was paying, she was like, girl,
Yeah.
I could have put you up
Visiting
for
Accra, there's plenty of great tours that you can take, other accommodations. Also in travel coaching, I help people that want to find more things like Airbnbs or things that are a little bit more personable. You know, Airbnb is direct consumer to product or property owner. So there's really no room for me as a travel agent or travel consultant, but there is room for me as a travel coach to help you make sure that you're doing the right thing and booking an Airbnb and getting your Airbnb or your Viator account or your Vibro account in order and things like that. So that stuff, again, I would love for you to have me back on. I would love to help. Oh, another thing we need to talk about is points, right? We're doing home improvement at home. I have another business where we purchase gas every day for our vehicles. So guess what? I have
you
a
use your card.
I earned my wife, we earned a companion pass with Southwest. So I fly free for the rest of the year with my wife because last year we earned a companion pass and they were running specials where you could earn your companion pass in a quicker amount of time. Delta does it as well. When you do sign up with Amex and Delta, you get one companion pass, one domestic companion pass for the year. So that's why that $500 fee, it pays for itself. It pays for itself.
Okay,
And
I
guess what? We
really
get
got to
upgraded to
like,
first class. We get upgraded to comfort or first class because we've reached a certain level. We're medallion members with Delta, and it really wasn't as hard as a lot of people think. And that secret society of the Delta Sky Lounge is really,
yes.
it really is great.
Now
Everything's in there.
I went there once with a friend, and I thought just because I had a Delta Amex, I could go again. They're like, the lady was really nice. She's like, honey, no, 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 you don't have that level. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Okay,
but
we can
I did
get you
not
there.
know, and this is really sad to say. My on an international trip for missions at least once a year with their kids. And so I did not realize she's like they pay almost every bill they have every month through a card that owns points. And I was just like, see, that takes discipline to pay it off every month. But that's really amazing. So yeah, I gotta have you on just
There's different There's the Amex now. The Amex, the Platinum Amex, it does have some other benefits when you're not with Delta. That is great. Like if you the Centurion Lounge and all type of other benefits, but also insurance. It protects your trip. If you're stuck, if you're sick, you're as an Amex whole card holder, there's certain things that come with you being a card holder. So much to help people with. That's why I said we could talk. We haven't even talked about destinations yet, and we haven't even talked about
no,
some of the
we
wonderful trips.
haven't.
So I can't
And
wait to get back on your show and you share me with your folks.
okay, I think next time too, I'm gonna have to get some other people on here who have questions for you. And
Mhm.
like, okay, you're gonna get like a half split insight with a travel coach, because even like I was jealous because my friend I just mentioned that does mission trips, her and her husband are doing a 10-day Ireland to Scotland drive, and
Mhm.
they're going to Airbnbs. And she's
Mhm.
like, well, her personality, she loves this. She's scouting out all the Airbnbs, and I'm like, but you don't even let's talk about a totally different country. I just would never, I shouldn't say never. I don't have, that's not me. That's not me. So
No, that's why I'm here.
yeah, that's why you're here. Well, you
Mhm.
guys, you have heard it from Mr. JR. I've never called you JR before. I'm gonna have to
You
say
can call
JR.
me Junior. I said in the professional realm,
I
when
know,
when
but
I'm
you
at a
know,
conference, they're like Junior. Everybody's like, "What's your real name?" And I tell them Junior. It's a great conversation starter, but to make it easier for folks so they don't feel because a lot of folks are like, "Is it okay to call you Junior?" I'm like, "Yeah, my mom calls me Junior. It's okay to call me Junior." But JR just makes it easier for folks to get over. That's another great conversation piece, but a long story. But you can call me JR. You can call me Junior. I don't care. Just spell my name right on the check.
I know that's right. And just call him with the knowledge that you want to get it going. So, I mean, you really blessed my life, especially when I was in Atlanta, but I know that you facilitate travel for people all over. You don't have to be from Atlanta. But what my Facebook audience would not know is that me and Junior go way back, like way back. I know we look too young to go way back, but I've had a glimpse of this man, and he's such an awesome,
over
awesome
23 years, Hope. Over 23 years.
I know. It's like it's over 2 decades.
Man, we old. We old. We don't look old, right?
I was 2 years old.
We still look the same. A little bit of gray for me, but we still look the same.
But no, I got to bring you back on, and I probably need to call you too, because I want to start planning and saving out for really nice big trips 2 years out, 3 years out, and not be doing this like, okay, where I want to go this year type of thing.
Listen, all you got to do is call me, and you're never the fifth wheel. We're going to Hawaii the end of April. We're going to Mexico in May. We're going to Jamaica for my annual trip in June. We're going to Barbados in July. We're going to Barcelona, and we're going on a Western Mediterranean cruise from Barcelona in August. We're going back to Mexico in September. We're going to Dubai in October. We're doing our annual Thanksgiving cruise on Royal Caribbean in November. And in December, we're doing another cruise. Next December, we're going to be in Ghana, Africa. We got tons of trips planned for 2024. 2025 is going to be a huge year for us, but 2024 is my 25th wedding anniversary, and I'm inviting a whole bunch of people to just come celebrate with me and my wonderful wife. I love travel. I love communing and fellowshipping with folks around travel. So anytime you need something or you just can't figure out where to go, I got you.
When I tell you, did y'all hear that? This man has other businesses and he still travels internationally once a month at least. And that's for several days. Yes, but you know what? You work hard, you play harder. And I think that's
and
really awesome.
we work while we're playing. As long as we got Wi-Fi. And we were in Dubai and still being, we were 7 hours ahead, but we were still able to take care of business. And we have to train folks now. The world has changed. We're in a global economy, folks. So don't be afraid to leave town. There's people that have moved to Mexico. A friend of ours from Mexico that's moved there. She's visiting now, but she's on the same timeline. Her T-Mobile phone costs the same in Mexico. She works from Mexico, from home. We went and we stayed with her a few days, and now we're ready to become expats. So we might not.
I so can see that.
Yeah, we're considering living outside the United States 5 months out of the year. And for me,
that's why I'm definitely interested in going to Ghana, since there's so many African-American expats there. Like, what's going on, man? Well, you guys have heard it. This won't be the last time. Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson, for coming on. If you would just stay on so I can say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. I love you, and I mean it. And watch for next week. It's going to be Positioned for Publishing. Yeah, that's right. Do you have a book in your heart? I'll be talking to an author, and you'll just have to wait to see who that person is. But if you have something in your heart that you think the world should have, or a baby you need to birth that's maybe a poem or just a short story, watch next week's. I love you guys, and I mean it. Bye-bye. Bye.